Award-winning songwriter and worship leader Chris Tomlin has come a long way from his roots in small-town Texas and says he never could have envisioned the life he now has, touring the world singing, pastoring a church, helping the disadvantaged, and writing songs embraced by congregations around the globe. It's only been 8 years since the release of his first solo live album, The Noise We Make, and since then he's had 6 #1 radio singles, 14 Dove Awards, 2 gold albums, and career sales of over 2 million.
Good to meet you.
Good to meet you too.
Yet when I met with Chris during his Hello Love tour, he still seems stunned by his success and refreshingly humble about his accomplishments.
Tell me what you think of Canada so far.
Oh, it's great. The whole time we're playing, I'm thinking, why have we not been every tour coming out here? Because this awesome response of the people has been like, so far we've walked off going, this is our 3rd night, but we're just like, wow, this is so good. I mean, the passion of the people, seemed like the hunger to worship God. I love it. I love it that you're coming to a place that, you know, that's maybe it's just not bands coming through every day. And so I think that's real special, and it makes for a great night.
That's cool. And you were in Montreal just a couple days ago. What
Yeah,
was that like?
Montreal was great. We got to do a little bit of work on my French a little bit with How Great Is Our God, and that was good. Singing that in French was like a highlight. That probably would be one of the highlights of the tour, really. And it was just I got a quick love for those people, and I was just really encouraged by just what I saw there. These people really have a love for God, and they could change the world. And I think what's been amazing is singing God of this city each night over these cities, and it's felt really powerful.
That song really connected with a lot of people. Why do you think that is so meaningful?
That song, because I think where it came from a band called Blue Tree in Ireland, and they wrote it when they were in Thailand, doing some ministry there, and they were kind of praying over this city, Pattaya, Thailand, which is and you're talking about dark. I mean, it is like a lot of the sex tourism, and it goes on there, and it's just a lot of the slavery of girls and all these kind of things, just awful, awful things. And actually, a guy who owned one of the brothels and bars found out they were a band and said, "Would you guys come and play in my bar? I get more people come if you guys." So they set up and played, and they did worship songs for 2 hours over people. And in the middle of that time, just playing, that song came. They started singing it spontaneously. For greater things have yet to come, greater things are still to be done in this city. And I think because it comes from such a powerful place, and it's a very prophetic song, that it resonates with people, and people really take ownership with it. And we've taken that song all over the world.
And social justice issues like child prostitution, things like that, have really touched your heart, and you're trying to do something about it now through 1millionken.com. Tell me about that.
It's really close to me because I feel like God's given me this microphone and given me this influence for more than just to sing songs and to write songs, but the heart of it is, what can $1 million do in the world? And I know it sounds like a lot of money, because it is a lot of money, but the idea is that like me and you, we can't do everything. And if you're watching this show, you're like, I can't do everything, but you can do something. Everybody can do something. And that's the heart of 1 Million Can, is like, we could go to a couple of big donors and say, hey, we need to do this, and can you pitch in? Or we could just go to everybody and say, hey, let's do this together. And that's the beauty and the power of the internet today. If you go on the site, you'll see 7 ministries that are on the site. They vary from helping women out of prostitution in India, to building homes for child soldiers, former child soldiers in Uganda, to having surgeries for kids through Cure International who are born with deformities, through translating scriptures. It's just this really creative way of saying, hey, just click on a cause and read about it, and if that touches your heart, there's a place where you can give $3, $5, whatever.
Looking back, Chris says it was touring the world that gave him an understanding and compassion for people suffering. But long before he had a chance to do that, his music was already making a deep impact around the globe.
You know, no one would know who I was, but I would come up and play these songs. They're like, oh, we sing that at our church. Oh, we sing those songs. You rip off all the songs from our church. I'm like, well, you know, okay, I kind of take that. But no one knew who I was, and so that's fun. But somehow I guess the songs started getting linked to me or whatever, and the records, people started picking up our records, and that's just become like we've all just even today we're just like, this is amazing. And I think that's what you want to say. I mean, I don't think at the end of the day you want to go, wow, I had this great plan. I knew exactly what I was doing, and I had it all worked out, and I had it all mapped out, and it's gone perfectly to plan. Because that's just not the way life works out. But so I'm thankful for it.
Well, one of your songs for your new album, Love, has the Watoto Children's Choir on it, and they're singing in their own language. Is it Luganda?
It's Lugandan. It is. Okwagalakwe Kusinyabuna.
And what does that mean?
I believe, man, if you're Lugandan, I'm sorry for butchering that, but it means his love is the answer. His love is the best. That's what they say. Oh, Chris, his love is the best. That's what they'll say. There is love. There is love. I was familiar with Watoto Children's Choir. They're in Kampala, Uganda, an incredible ministry. And it's an amazing ministry of AIDS orphans. Most of these kids have lost their parents to AIDS. And it's an orphanage for these kids, and they've just really taken these kids up and raising them up through the church. And incredible. And they go all over the world singing. And I'd seen them when I was in Sydney, Australia. And I was like, God, these kids are amazing. Incredible. And we were recording this record, and I had this song called Love. And I was like, and my producer, Ed, he was like, man, wouldn't it be great if we had a children's choir on this, like an African children's choir? I just hear all these sounds. I'm like, yeah, it'd be cool, but I mean, we're in Nashville, you know? It's like, they're not just around the corner, you know, how does this work? And the exact same time we're talking about this, we get a text that week. One of our assistants gets a text saying that the Watoto Children's Choir was in Nashville this week doing concerts, and if anybody'd like to come see them sing, they're in, you know, here's the dates, and we're like, what in the world? I mean, what are the chances? This is God putting something together. So we called them up and said, you guys got any free time? We hear you're in Nashville. We were thinking it'd be great to have a choir and here you guys are, and I know them. It's the only children's choir I know in the whole world. I called them up, and they're like, we'd love to come. So they came and they sang with us in the studio, and you know, we said, here's what the song kind of says. Here's what the song's about. What would that be in Luganda, and what would and that's when that's what you hear them sing. Okwagalakwe Kusinyabuna. And it was just an incredible day. Probably the best day I've ever had in the studio recording, but just seeing how God was putting things together. When life is cold, there is a promise. You will never go without. There is love.
What you do is a little different than a performer or rock band or anything like that. It is worship. How do you keep worship, a heart of worship, fresh every night when you're on a tour like this, night after night, same songs, another crowd?
Yeah.
You know, how do you keep that worship fresh?
You know, it doesn't get old to me, and I don't know why. I guess God just put that in me, and that's because He knew that this is what He wanted me to do, and He just put that. But I love it. And I love because it's new people every night, and you know, I'm trying to help people connect to God. I'm doing that myself. You know, I can't come up there and just perform, but I want to lead people to somewhere. I want to lead people to God, not lead people to myself. And so that takes a lot of just like having your heart ready, you know, just really thinking through the day, clearing your mind, just like, okay, this is what we're going to do, you know. And I have a real different perspective when I walk on stage. It's not, hey, look at me, I'm going to perform, but it's like, yeah, we're gonna have fun, we're going to play loud, it's going to be crazy in here. But at the same time, I want people to walk out just really sensing that they really had an encounter with God, and that's what I think a leader does. That's, you know, it's anybody can get up and sing songs and sing the top 5 songs. Or you can pick a few songs out of the top 10 worship songs and sing it. But that doesn't make you a worship leader. You know, it's a different. I always pray that God would just help. You know, His Spirit would do it because it would touch people through these songs and help me to lead in a way that would really help people. Yeah, we do a lot of the same set lists each night and may change it up a little bit, but you know, I know that these are songs that God's given me for a reason, and the people enjoy them. But like, I mean, how great is our God? I've played it, I don't know how many, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times, but I love it every night.
We talked about staying humble and keeping the humility despite the success and the crowds and everything else. How do you stay grounded in reality?
I think anybody who has who's trying to, you know, really have their heart set on God and trying to see God and trying to seek out God, I think there's no way you can be proud. You can't be proud in that moment. You can't like want to have a glimpse of God's goodness or God's grace and then think anything of yourself. I think only when you know that you're looking at yourself, when pride steps up. That's the way I've seen it. When you see God, anybody who's ever seen God in Scripture, they're on their face.